Hey, what's up everyone? It's Richie and welcome to the track guide for Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Today I'm going to be going over both qualifying and some race laps for you in the ARCA car fixed setup. We're using the Vegas setup supplied by iRacing. Today we're going to be using default weather, 78 degrees, 55% humidity, 2 mile-an-hour north wind. We are starting in the afternoon session and with a track state of 30%. The only setup changes that we're doing today is that we will be running a 12-to-1 steering ratio, a -11 offset, steering offset, and 64% brake bias today. So with all that out of the way, first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into the qualifying sessions, and we're going to take a look at qualifying lap. So once again, this is a track where we kind of throw the first lap away. We use it specifically to warm up the tires, to get a little heat in the tires without actually overheating the tires. So as always, when you're going on the apron, you want to go as fast as you can without sliding the tires. Again, if you slide the tires, you're going to overheat the tires. So your goal is to get up to speed, stay and do that without sliding the tires. We're head down into 3 and 4 here on the opening lap. We're going to run, you can run pretty much any line you want here, again, as long as you're just not sliding the tires or pushing the tires too bad. Come down our normal line down the front stretch, and then we hit into 1-2. You can use this as a test session to go 1 and 2, to just try your line to go through there, make sure everything's okay. And then we're going to start our qualifying lap right here by going in high in 3 and 4. Try to keep as much throttle as possible into it so that we can get a nice big huge run off the corner. We're going to cut down. We're going to cut across the apron here, missing the grass both entering and exiting there. Then we're going to go into 1. We're going to go through as much throttle as we possibly can. I will go over this lap in more detail as after I show you the full lap here. So down into 3 and 4, down to the white line, and this is power up as quickly as we can, fight through some looseness, and then we're going to come out and do the same thing where we're going to cut down the apron and across the line. So that is, in a nutshell, that is qualifying at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. So let's take a look at that in a little bit more detail. All right, so again, coming to the white flag here, we're going to cut down the apron. We're going to miss that bit of grass right there. We're going to stay down low, and we're going to aim to come through. And once again, we're going to cut the grass right here, or not cut the grass, but get as close to the grass as you possibly can. We're going to float up to the outside of the racetrack, and then as we get to this logo right there, we're going to start our turn in to the corner, and we're still at full throttle here, and we're at full throttle all the way until we get to about the end of this Las Vegas logo sign right there, and we're still coming down the racetrack, and our goal is, if you see, there's a seam right here, and then there's white dashes on the bottom of the racetrack that go around here. Our goal is to get our left sides on this white and our right sides on our on the seam. So as we start to come down into the corner, that's our goal. As we lift, we're only lifting about 75 to 80% of throttle. We're going to stay 75 to 80% in the throttle, so we're going to lift off 15 to 20% as we get down in the corner, and we're going to hold that through the entire corner on our qualifying lap here. And you'll see that I have come down to the line that I was looking for, which is, again, left side's on this dash, and then the right side's below the seam over here. Once you get down to your apex here, you're going to start to power back up, and when you power back up, you're going to start powering up right around here, which is the NASCAR sign. Right before the NASCAR sign is when you can start to power back up, and your goal on the qualifying lap is to be full throttle before you get to the south point. Actually, right before you even get to the whatever this is, quick liner sign right there. You want to be full throttle right there, and you're going to full throttle completely out of the corner. You're going to bring it up nice and smoothly to the outside fence. Down the straightaway we're going to go, and then we're going to start our turn in on the back stretch. Actually, in the turn 3, right at this white line right here that goes across. Nice, a great thing to look for. So we're going to hit that white line. I'm going to start my turn in right there as I hit the line, and then I'm going to lift right at this logo, right there, right after that logo, and that logo is this Las Vegas Motor Speedway logo right there. Once we get, that's where we're going to be when we lift, going into the corner there. And again, we're kind of lifting. You see, I'm actually putting a little throttle in because the car got loose right there going in. But again, we're coming out here. We're coming out a little bit more than we did in 1 and 2. Probably about 60% throttle here, 65% throttle. And our goal is to get all the way down to the bottom and on the white line here. So we're going to hold about 60% throttle, and then we're going to start to pick up the throttle again. If you look up here, there's words on the wall right there, home of the neon something or other, and then there's another Vegas logo over there. That is where we're going to start to pick up the throttle between those two, and then we're not going to, so it's very important not to mash the throttle right here. If you mash the throttle, you're going to get completely loose and spin out. So I'm picking up the throttle to about 85 to 90%, and I'm holding that partial throttle through this part of the corner. You see, actually, I even lifted a little bit because the car got a little loose. But your goal is to get the full throttle as you right before you get to the Sam's Town sign on a wall, and which happens there. Excuse me. So again, it's about 80 to 90% throttle, and then right before you get to that Sam's Town, you're full throttle, up off the corner, and then down, and again on your second lap here coming to the checkered, you're going to cut down the apron right there. So that is a qualifying lap at Las Vegas Motor Speedway with the ARCA car. Okay, so let's get into some race laps here. Vegas is a fast track. It's one of the faster tracks. You're going to be trying to keep as much speed up as you possibly can as you go around this racetrack. The opening laps are actually pretty similar to the qualifying lap, with the exception of using a little bit, letting off a little bit more, trying to just roll the center just a little bit more than you normally would when you're trying to push the qualifying lap. So I started on lap 7 here on my 20-lap run, and you'll note that obviously the first lap, because the tires were cold, was a little bit slower, but so we ran a 30.8 in qualifying, and I ran a 30.9594 in the beginning laps of the my 20-lap run here. Mainly because, like I said, it's very similar race line here as it is the qualifying line. So I'm going to show you lap 3, my third lap here, which is lap 9, my 10th lap, which is lap 19, and then my 20th lap, the last lap, which is lap 20. And you'll note that between lap 3 and lap 10, I lose almost a second. And that's going to happen here because it's such a fast racetrack. It's very abusive on tires. And even when you're trying to save tires here, you're still going to fall off quite a bit, even in a 10-lap run. And then if we look back here from lap 19, which is a 32.1, to lap 29, which is only a 32.6, it's only a half a second fall off. And the reason for that is that with the ARCA car, the tires get to a specific plateau, meaning that the tires have worn out to the point where they're not going to get much hotter, and you can actually run a pretty consistent lap time. And you can look right about lap 21, which again we started on lap 19 was our 10th lap. So right around lap 12 or so, you kind of hit that plateau. And from lap 12 to lap 20, there's only 0.2 loss between those particular laps, and that's because it's hit that plateau. And once you get to that plateau, you could hit or miss that particular lap time by a tenth or two on either side of it. You're doing pretty good. Now, it will eventually start to creep down a little bit, and what'll happen is you may lose a tenth, and you may, like I said, lose a half a second, in a couple laps, and then 10 more laps, you might lose another 2 to 3 tenths. But the fall off from lap 12 to the end of the run is not as much as it is actually in the first 10 laps of the race. So with that said, let's take a look at, again, lap 3 here, which, actually, sorry, it's lap 9, but it's the third lap of the run. So you're going to note that as I go around here, the line never deviates. It's the same line whether you're qualifying. It's the same line whether or not you're running your first lap in a run or the third lap in a run. It's actually the same line 10 laps in as it is 20 laps in. The real difference here, and you can see here that I'm off throttle a little bit more than I was in qualifying. Didn't get quite back to the throttle as much as I did. But realistically, that was the exact same lap that we ran in qualifying trim. So the line doesn't deviate. And what happens now as we move on to a little bit later in the run, and we look at lap 19 here, what you're going to see is that I'm going to go down the straightaway. I'm going to enter the corner exactly like I've been entering, but look at here. Now I'm down, only got about 40% of throttle in it. And again, this is 10 laps into a run. So I only have 40% throttle now instead of that 80 to 90 at the qualifying, and probably 70 to 80 on the first section of laps. So you'll note that, again, it's the same basic line. I'm trying to come down, stay on the white line dashes, and keeping my right sides just underneath the seam, right? So one of the other differences as you get further on, because we're slowing so much getting in the corner to get the car to turn and come down, you can actually get to full throttle a bit quicker than we did in qualifying. So now in qualifying, I said you wanted to get to full throttle by this sign all the way over here, and definitely before the South Point sign. But because we're slowing so down, the tires are so worn out, you can actually pick the throttle up quicker. And that definitely helps your straightaway speed, because obviously if you're getting in the throttle quicker, you're going down the straightaway a whole bunch faster. So again, same line going down the straightaway. We're going to go down here. We're going to start to turn in at the white line, and look here as I get down into 3 and 4. I'm down to about 10% throttle. I still have a little bit of throttle in it here on my 10th lap of this run, but again, not as much as I did for qualifying in the first lap. So now as we come forward, remember that we were picking the throttle up between the logo and the neon up here. This is where we started to pick up the throttle in qualifying. But if you look here, I'm actually going to pick up the throttle a little bit quicker. I'm actually right here. So again, I'm picking up the throttle a little bit quicker in a run, and now I'm actually still partial throttle, and I'm now in full throttle, where on the qualifying lap, I was actually picking up the throttle. So again, even in 3 and 4, you're picking up the throttle quicker, and it's mainly because you're going to be going into the corner way slower than you were in qualifying. So, and then the one thing I forgot to mention is when on a normal lap, you don't cut the apron. You don't need to do that. You can if you want to. Not necessary by any stretch of imagination. Most people don't. Where I'm at right now is where the normal person would go down the straightaway. Because the straightaway is curved, it doesn't really make sense to go outside here. You want to cut down right here on the white line and then come back up on the racetrack. So let's take a look at the last lap. And this last lap was my 20th lap. And as we go down the straightaway to start this lap, we're going to go down and turn in. And what I wanted to show you is looky. There's no throttle. I'm completely out of the throttle at this point. The tires are hot. They're tired. They want this run to be over. So there's not a lot of turn in these tires. So you're all the way out of the throttle. I'm picking up a little bit of here, but again, the line is exactly the same as it's been. You want to get your right sides underneath this seam right here. You don't need to run on the bottom of the racetrack. If you run on the bottom of the racetrack, the car is going to be loose and not as consistent as it is if you're up there. But you can run the bottom here if you want to. But the preferred line is just one up. It's just got a little bit. You could actually see right here that there's a little bit of dark line up here towards this seam, and it's just because there's a little bit more grip up here towards that seam, which is why that's preferred line. So now again, I got about 50% throttle into it, and then right around, I'm going to say probably the NASCAR sign, boom, full throttle again. And again, remember that in qualifying, we were full throttle all the way up here, but we were also way more on the throttle in the middle of the corner. But because we're slowing down so much in the middle of the corner or going into the corner, we could pick the throttle up quicker. And later in the run, we full throttle all the way out, all the way down the back stretch, big long straightaways, lots of speed. And then again, we're going to go down into turn 3, and it's going to be the same thing. Roll completely out of the throttle, although I got a little bit of throttle in it, trying to get it to bring down to the middle of the corner. More partial throttle again, down to the white line again, and then I'm full throttle again right here, pretty early, right at this NASCAR sign right there. And whereas again in qualifying we were partial throttling all the way up here to be full throttle by out here. So once again, you got to slow down so much in the beginning and the middle part of it that you can really use the throttle to get a nice run getting down the straightaway to try to get past somebody if you're running with somebody. So those are race laps at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Las Vegas is a single lane racetrack. You could try the outsides here, but it's not going to be as good as the lines that I've shown you here. So be prepared to have some tough passes, getting into the throttle as much as you can, and getting this run down the straightaway, especially late in the run, will definitely help you trying to pass the guy in front of you. And that's about it. So feel free, like, subscribe. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them and reach out to me. And that's it. Good luck, everyone.